Hello and welcome to another episode of Don't Shit on the Bus. I'm your host, Adam Omakayas, tuning in all the way from Los Angeles, California for episode number 85. Everybody, welcome back, Neil Westfall. Man, I am so happy to get Neil back on here. I missed him. I saw him recently in real life in San Diego, which was cool. And I was like, dude, everybody wants you back on the show. So I asked the patrons what questions they had. I incorporated those. I did not refer to you by name because they came up organically. I hope that's okay. Thanks for helping. And, it was great to catch up with Neil. When he was on the show, if you haven't listened to those episodes, it's about the first 34 or so episodes. First 10 or 12 we did solo. It was just me and him. And man, thank you, Neil, for doing those with me. But he's a funny human being. This episode had me in tears because he really knows how to make me laugh. I know I've told this story before, but back in like 2014, when I worked with A Day to Remember More, they would do like this VIP meet and greet every day. And part of the meet and greet was fans would ask questions and the band would answer them. So yeah, Q&A. You know what a Q&A is. And Neil's answers were always so funny that to a point where I would just record them and then watch them later because they made me laugh so hard. So talking is what he is good at. I mean, he's very good at guitar, but he is good at talking. I think they should give him a mic at the show, man. Like, he's got some good things to say. Well, luckily, we gave him an hour with the mic. We're able to catch up. Thank you so much to our patrons for their contributions on a weekly basis and supporting this podcast. Couldn't do without you. Evo's posting articles weekly. Connor's posting videos weekly and podcasts. I mean, that's what he does. He edits them too. We got a good team, and I appreciate your guys' help. So thank you so much for helping me pay these good people. And with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Don't Shit on the Bus. All right, cool. I have like 4 notes. It just says family tour restaurant. Mm-hmm. That's that's the whole. I was like, this is going to be easy. Neil's on.
Well, I just simplified my life. So it's really down to those 4 things. That's pretty accurate.
Yo, bottom of my heart. Thanks for doing this with me.
Of course. I've been looking forward to it since you brought it up before. And you asked today, I was like, oh shit. My studio is kind of like in a mess right now because I had to take something out of it for touring.
Yeah.
And so I can't like practice or play guitar. So I'm like, I actually have all day I can do. Let's go. I got time.
I knew I just had to catch you at the right moment, but I would say I was on Ask like 4 and I feel bad after a while, but you're a family man. So
I felt bad because I'm like, this seems like I don't want to do it, but that's absolutely not the truth. Every time you've asked me, I'm like, I think you asked me before and I was on my way to vacation and then we were like doing some other stuff. And then Mary was really sick one time when you asked me, which she's better now. She's doing much better now. So,
yeah.
Hey, today is the day.
Hey, no more sick Mary. I'm just checking to make sure everything's recording because that would be a disaster. Are you OBS running on your side or no?
Yeah, I do.
Need to. You're recording it on your side too?
I can. I don't have.
You don't have to. I'm just like thinking. Like that one time it didn't record. I have PTSD from that, but I haven't had anything go wrong. So I'm hoping that this isn't the exception to that.
I don't have a audio source. I'm currently just running straight in. Like this is me being like, hey, I need it work.
Yeah, but it's working. I don't know why it wouldn't work. Right? It's got to work.
It's just like the plague of starting a podcast,
dude.
Feels like I'm like sitting by the road right now.
Oh, can you hear?
Yeah. All of a sudden, really, really well.
It's because I live next to a road now. Since we've last talked, I moved.
Oh, okay. I like that. I like this. This is like we're doing it like out in the wild.
Dude, yeah. It's been a little bit. I was like, well, I saw you recently, which is really nice to catch up IRL. Thank you again for making time while you're in San Diego for such a short amount of time and finding time today. It really, I know you want to do it, but I want to convey that it means a lot that you're doing it because
of course
I'm not going to make your band bigger. I'm not going to make your anything. You're just here because I appreciate it.
You make my friendship with you bigger.
You have a bigger friendship. All right. That's fair.
Yeah. No,
I'm sorry you had to take all your stuff out of your studio and go on the road. That must have been like not fun. You're like had it all set up COVID style for like 2 years. They're like, oh, fuck.
It's not everything. It's kind of weird. So I could go full nerd in detail and just tell you every aspect. But the most important thing is I had a battery backup system that I took from my touring rig.
Wait, something's going on with your audio.
Is it?
Do you hear that?
I don't.
It's like when you talk, there's like a talk for me.
Hey.
Talk again. Keep talking.
Hey, what's up?
Okay, now it's fine.
I wonder what's going on.
It sounded like kind of like a shh just at the end of all your talking. I don't know if it was like catching an echo or something. Do you know what I mean?
Is this better?
Yeah.
Does that sound better?
It sounds like it did when you started. And
Okay,
if it
cool.
happens again, well, Connor, I'm sorry, but
This is a lot of stuff to learn. I mean, I think if you're also into podcasts and stuff, you got to understand that this is some of the things that you're going to deal with whenever you make this kind of content.
dude, yeah, it's crazy. It's still doing the thing, but I don't think it'll be too big of an issue. I hope not. I don't know why. It makes no sense. Dude, every time we do this, I'm like, yo, there's no way there's more problems that come up. We just plug stuff in. There's like 3 variables. How's there problems?
So you still hear it?
Yeah, it's like a weird, I don't know how to explain it because I'm not an audio dude.
It's like a wispy.
Yeah. It's like at the end, it sounds like you're exhaling at the end of when you're talking, but I don't think that's what it is.
I probably can fix it. Let me just
It's
try.
like an echo almost.
Hmm.
But it wasn't like that at first.
Okay. That sounds good to me.
Okay, we were talking about, I think, like messing up your COVID setup, then going on tour.
Oh yeah. So I could get as nerdy as you want. But it's basically I have a battery backup system in my studio, which allows me to have clean power whenever I'm using all the like super sensitive audio stuff.
When you as you travel?
Well, no, just in the studio in general, because I didn't want to rewire the studio. Because what happens when you put a battery backup system in any scenario, it disconnects you from the power grid. So it basically puts a battery in between you and the power grid. So it takes the AC power in, converts it to DC power, then puts AC power back out. And so once it puts the AC power back out, you get completely clean. And so you can run all your sensitive studio gear with really clean power without having to rewire a building, as long as you have a battery backup system in the beginning of all of your gear.
That makes sense. It's like you explained it in a way where non-guitar player myself understood what you're saying. It's just like a filter. It's like charge this battery. This battery runs the thing. Mm-hmm. And it always runs the thing.
I literally went through 2 weeks of my life trying to figure out this noise that I had in my studio. And it turns out that I could have just used this thing that I had in my touring equipment to just fix the whole problem. But it was kind of a temporary fix because now I need it for touring and I had to just pull it out of my studio. So I ordered another one, but it's not here because, COVID. So yeah. And yeah, we're still here, but we get to have a podcast. So it's great.
Yeah. That's crazy. Okay. I like knowing that technical stuff. It's like the little things you don't know about. I'm like, why do they need to get ready for tour? Just there's guitars, just go. And there's just so much stuff. You have to like restring, retune, restring, pack everything, get everything set up, rehearse, pack it all up, put it on a boat or a plane. Yeah.
So depending on where you're traveling, like if you're going to Europe, you have to do this thing called a carnet, which is like a big inventory list of everything that you're going to bring. It's for like tax purposes, I think. I don't think they want you like bringing stuff into the country and then selling it without them getting their taxes.
It's when you come back.
Yeah, whichever way, like you have to make sure that whatever you left with is what you come back with.
Yes.
And you can't add things to it or else, you could get fined or arrested or whatever. And so you have to do all that. And then when we come back from Europe, like we just came back, we just got our gear back. Touring in the US is going to be completely different because of how we're going to be touring. So we'll be using different gear. So we're taking things out of certain things and moving stuff around. Like I like using specific guitars. So I take the guitars from my B rig and move them into my A rig and then get everything ready. And then how we transport everything is like a little bit bigger and more room and
just stays on a truck.
Well, you can be a little bit more comfortable with your touring because like weight and all that stuff doesn't matter as much when you're traveling here in America, since we're American. Like flying with all that stuff, it gets really expensive if you have a lot of stuff. So you try to consolidate everything down. And here you can bring whatever you want, kind of to an extent, I guess.
Yeah, like I've seen you bring things that you couldn't. Motorcycles.
Yeah.
Golf. I don't know. What else have you guys brought on tour? A lot of video game systems.
We brought video game systems. We recently built an entire entertainment system that's like, it's like a big road case. And then the top flips up and it has a big TV and it's got an app, like a Mac Mini in it. And then a recording setup. And then it has a PlayStation. And then it has full studio monitoring. So we can like listen to music as loud as we want. So like we can like party and whatever, but we can't bring that to Europe. So that can only come out in like the States and stuff like that.
That sounds amazing. Have you named it?
We did, but I can't remember what it's called right now.
I feel like the OG inspiration for this was Avenged Sevenfold. Like I feel like we heard about that once on tour. I think theirs is called Fort Knox, like their room.
It's pretty, they definitely have a sick one.
Because they're like, I think their songs are like part of Call of Duty or something. They've game, whatever.
They game hard. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's cool that like it's cool that you hear about that kind of stuff on tour and you're like, we got to do that. I mean, I don't know why you guys haven't done this earlier.
Well, we always tried to do it like kind of on the cheap and we never wanted to like spend the money as like a band to do it. Cause like everyone wanted to do their own thing. Like Jeremy wants to play World of Warcraft, or Alex wants to play Call of Duty, or Kevin wants to listen to music, or I want to listen to different music, or I want to work on a demo, or Kevin wants to work on a demo. And so we all like kind of did our own thing. And then we were like, well, if we just like kind of put all of it in one, and then we can agree to use it together, then it'll be better. And so that's what we did.
It's like that Barney bag. It's like the mystery bag. You know what I'm talking about? It's like, oh, what's in here?
Yeah.
All the things we could do at home, but onto
Exactly. And well, remember Bring Me had one when we went out with them. It was like us and Motionless, and then
Ollie Games, dude.
Yeah, they had a sick one. All Time Low had one on the Blink tour, and we were both like super we were jealous of both theirs because theirs were so cool. And so we just basically looked at theirs and how they designed theirs, and we are like, all right, this is the stuff we want in ours, and then we just kind of made it how it would fit our needs.
And then I'm just picturing it costing a lot, and you having to go to Max and be like, Max, we picked the entertainment system for this tour. I'm teching my own guitars. This is just what happened.
Well, I don't think I could do it without Max. So
I know.
I'd be like,
Max, you're irreplaceable.
Yes, that's true. I tried to get us to bring in the entertainment system to South America, and then they explained to me that it's all based on weight and we can't do it. I'm like, oh, but I thought we were gonna make it was like if it fits on these 2 pallets, we can bring it. And then they were like, yeah, but it has to weigh under this much because we're flying with it. I'm like, oh, all right, so we can't bring the entertainment thing that's humongous and really heavy. All right, cool.
I guess I'll just be miserable on tour then.
I was just trying to like have a party and like make friends with A$AP Rocky and Rihanna because they were also on the festival. And I was like, if we just like have a party, then they'll come be our friends.
Oh my God. I remember like specifically trying to make friends with other people at festivals. It's a really funny thing. Like I think it was like 2014. I remember not making friends with people because we did Insanity Above Them. Remember we did like Above of Monsters and Men. Yeah. But I don't know. Who did we try to make friends with?
We did make friends with Jared Leto.
That is true. That was interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting. I'm trying to think.
What's that rapper that's like a young kid and wears metal shirts?
Probably a lot of them now.
But he was from like he was from like Ireland. Ireland rapper, young. I got this. Oh, I found it. His name is, no, I don't know what it is. Anyway, I think we tried to hang out with somebody like that, but they just like, it was really awkward. We like foisted ourselves onto them when they were just not having, they're just hanging with their people. So I
remember when we were smoking weed out in front of Marilyn Manson's like little compound thing. Our old tour manager was his current tour manager. So it was this guy Tyson. We were really good friends with him.
Australia? Were we in Australia?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And he's like, hey, Marilyn wants to smoke with you guys. I'm like, oh, okay. That sounds pretty fun and cool. I'd like to do that. And so we have this really weird smoking apparatus, which is like, it's like an apple bong, but it's, you put the bottle on it and you know what I'm talking about, where you like light it and then you like.
The apple is the bowl. So you never touch the bottle, but the bottle stores the smoke.
Hold the smoke all in it.
Yeah.
And so we brought that in there to him because we're like, that's what we were smoking with. And he sees us and he like looks at us and he goes, Tyson. And he makes Tyson come over to him and he's like, can you get these guys out of here? And we're like, wait, you are, I mean, whatever. And so he thought this is what we were, I don't know if I should even say this, but he thought we were smoking crack.
Did he really?
Yeah. And so I guess that like was triggering for him and he didn't want to be around that. And I was like, okay, cool. No problem. It's just,
wait, he thought you were smoking crack. Therefore he didn't want to smoke with you.
Yeah.
Not like you came in. He's like, oh, it's weed. Never mind.
No, he wanted to smoke weed with us, but he thought that it was crack because the thing looked crazy. And I totally get it because it does. It looks like you're like making this engineering project or whatever, and you're just like smoking weed. And it's like, I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to make friends at festivals,
I don't think I was there for that day. Was that the festival, like the first time you did Soundwave?
It was an Australian festival. I don't know if it was Soundwave. It was like probably one of the subsequent
big day out or
something. Yeah. It was like, I remember we hung out with Gym Class Heroes and we did smoke weed with them. And we're like, oh, Travie, what's up, man? Like we hadn't seen him in forever. And he was cool as always. But yeah, Marilyn Manson, he didn't want to hang out with us. So we were too crazy for Marilyn Manson. I'm just going to throw that out there. I know he's like the king of shock rock, but a day to remember, a little too crazy for him.
Didn't he like break his wrist at a show we were at one time? Like that. Remember that festival run where he like fell off stage?
Yeah, he was having a rough time. I remember we went and saw him in Sydney and someone gave him a bag of cocaine.
Oh my
And he
God.
took it and then he threw it at someone in the front row. And you just see this. We're like up in the balcony. You just see this person turn around and their whole face is just white, like because the bag of cocaine hit him in the face.
It
And we're
looks
just
like Marilyn Manson.
we're like, oh my gosh, that person is about to overdose.
That's insane. That's the weirdest way to ever drug somebody. You just pepper sprayed them, but
He just
cocaine.
threw this bag at them and then it hit them. They were covered in it, but they
Oh
looked
my
like they were
God.
fine. They were down there the whole rest of the time having a good time. But we were just up there. I'm like, and this is just like everyone's cool that this just happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get that. We're like, yeah, this is the Marilyn Manson show.
I forget what the term is, but there's like that thing where like when you're in a big group and it's more likely that nobody does anything when something's out of the ordinary, because every other person is like, well, they're not doing anything and they're not everybody kind of takes that into consideration, therefore it does nothing. So you're like, well, I mean,
I don't know what you do in that scenario. I think she threw the cocaine at him. So it was like,
hey, fair enough. He was giving it back. He was returning it.
it was crazy. The whole thing was crazy. I mean, like just getting to watch the show. His show was awesome. He was awesome. He was a great performer, even though he was really bad. I think he was having a rough time. Like you could tell he was going through it.
I don't think I've ever seen him and thought he looks like he's doing well.
Yeah,
he just always looks rough.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say, like, even as a performer watching him, I'm like, I can tell he's having issues. Like he was having technical issues. He was having all kinds of issues.
Oh, gotcha.
But it was still entertaining. Like the whole time, I was like, man, it's entertainment.
You know, I don't know if we ever made friends with him, but I think one of my favorite like parts of tour was when you were on the same festival run as Limp Bizkit. We just got to watch them every night and sit on stage, and they would like their theme that tour was like they'd give you like coconuts. Do you remember that?
Yeah, they had like the tiki bar.
Yeah, they had like a tiki bar on stage, and they give you drinks, and you could watch. And I was just like, this is a cool band.
Yeah, they're the best. They really are. Like I wish we could become friends with them because they're like one of our favorite bands collectively. It's like Blink-182 is an influence for me, and then it's like Limp Bizkit. You know what I mean? Like
they're so good.
Yeah, they are.
I will never forget like sitting on those side stages and watching them live, and it's so cool to let everybody on there. It'd be sweet if I had like a really good surprise, and I was like, "Enter Fred Durst has entered the chat." He just shows up.
Like, holy shit, Fred! What's up?
Like, Adam, how do you know Fred? How are you here, Fred?
He's just at your house.
Yo, one time I used to listen to Limp Bizkit on my roof when I lived in LA with roommates because it was the only place I could like turn it up a little bit. I had this little speaker. Then afterwards, I met up with Kevin because he was in town, and we went to Veggie Grill, and Fred Durst was there. And we're like, all right.
The universe is like, you're welcome.
Here he is. And Craig goes, hey, that's Fred Durst. I was like, holy shit, I was just listening to him on my roof.
He's like, I hear that a lot. Yeah.
It's like his bat, sign. He's like, I heard somebody listening to me on the roof. So I go to the nearest vegetarian place.
Dude, it's like that stereotype. It's like you can only really listen to like that type of music on your roof. Like when you're in a little bit of teen angst-ish battle with your parents, you just go on your roof and listen to Limp Bizkit. He probably gets that a lot. He's like, yeah, that's the normal place people listen to me, on their roof so they can turn it up a bit, get a little
throw down.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw Meg recently, who's our mutual friend. Unfortunately, it was at our other mutual friend's funeral, which we talked to briefly about, but we had him on the podcast when we were both on the podcast together, and that was a really special episode. And I don't know if you've like reflected on your relationship with him since then, but he was a really cool dude. And I don't know, I'm happy we did that and got to have like a conversation. I'm happy that like some of his teachings are out there because he was so good at it.
He was the best. And I think, if there's anyone to learn from, it's him, because he saw it all and he came through it, and he was still humble and he was still kind. Like even at the end when he didn't have to be, like he's like a tech for like one of the biggest bands in the entire world. And he's like the best at what he does. And he was still willing to teach everybody and always very kind and stuff. And so I hope that people, can learn from him. So I'm glad that we did that as well.
Yeah, it was cool. I wasn't trying to like, I don't know, as I'm halfway through it, I'm like, I'm not trying to take attention out of him passing to the podcast. I was just like, the more I reflected on it, the more I was thankful that he joined us for that episode because
I got what you're saying. And I agree. I think that it was so sudden and so, out of nowhere that I haven't really processed it fully, to be honest,
Yeah. I didn't process it till I went to the funeral, and they like had like a thing of all his stuff. And I thought it was really cool to have like his in-ears on there, like a shrine. And I mean, I cried, and everybody else was there. And like, nobody was crying. And I was like, did I just wait too long to come to terms with this? Or am I just like more emotional? Like this shit's, I can't see this dude out of here now. Like what Blink tour just not going to be the same as Robert's not there.
I always, it usually takes like moments like that for me to start to grieve in those scenarios. It's like I can hear the information and I process it, but like not to the extent of like letting myself be emotional, I guess. Yeah. And then it takes like a thing where I am a little vulnerable and like, I'm like, we would be spending time with this person here. And I'm like, oh, they're not here. And then I'm like,
I'm sure that happened with Jeff, because we toured with him for so long, and then you tour and you're like, oh, he's not with it. He's just gone.
Yeah.
Which is fucking weird.
It is a weird thing. And touring is weird in itself because you're used to seeing these people for an extended amount of time very closely, and then you don't see them for months, usually. And then so like not seeing people for a long period of time is pretty normal, especially after the pandemic where everyone didn't see anyone for 2 years basically. And so it still hasn't really even fully hit me. But it's I wish I could have gone to that. That's something that sucks about living not on the West Coast.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And even I think you were out on the road during that time.
His nephew hit me up. I connected with his nephew through him after the podcast we did. He told me about his nephew being a fan of the band.
Oh, cool.
And his nephew had a hardcore band and all this stuff. And so I like started talking to him through Instagram. He basically just reached out to me and was like, hey, this is the details for that. And he's like, my primo would have loved for you to be there. He like always talks so highly of you and just respected you so much. And I was like, man, I would love to be there. And he's like, I saved you a pic and I saved you this stuff that they made for this.
Sick.
Like, so when I see you, he's going to come to one of the shows, I think on the next tour and bring me that stuff. But yeah, it probably won't be until then that I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Something that stood out to me about him, because there was like speeches, was how I think it was, he's passed away, so I'm sure this is public information now, but he was like sober 8 years. And through those 8 years, he was like a very good father and like made it up to his kids. And it's crazy to me. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm interested to hear what you have to say because, I have a really hard time with just managing myself in life. I can't imagine having 3 kids and a job. Like, how has it been with you now that you have brought a human into this planet to live with you?
It's one of the hardest, most rewarding things ever. But I will say this, it takes a village. Like that is a real saying for a reason. You can't do this by yourself and you can, and it's really hard. And you make a lot of sacrifices, usually involving yourself in that scenario, like single moms, single dads going out there, raising kids by themselves, obviously based on circumstances they can't control. Yeah. They choose to make sacrifices most of the time for themselves, like they sacrifice their personal time. They sacrifice going to the gym or eating healthy or doing things that they want for themselves because you're putting these kids first. They're your kids first. You always do. And, people that I'm about to have my second kid.
I'm pretty sure Mary is going to have the kid, Neil.
Right. But I will be
really bad joke.
One of the ones taking care of it,
Congratulations. I think I knew that, but it's like one of those things like, I don't know how to explain it. I know it's a big deal in your life, but it's not a big, it just gets kind of lost. Once I see the kid there, I'm like, oh, he has a second one.
Yeah, no, I understand completely.
When is that due?
Its due date is actually my birthday, which is Christmas. It's crazy. Amelia was born on the 7th of January. And so her original birth date was like, when they first found out, it was like, I was like, man, she's going to be born in December. I know it. This is going to be crazy. And then she was born in January. So we're like, all right, cool.
It's 9 months after conception?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
January, February, March. So March 25th is a good day for you guys.
It was a good day last year for me.
March 25th, the day babies were made.
Yeah. I mean, anyone having more than one, like one kid is hard. 2 kids I'm about to see, I think it's probably going to be harder. But 3, I'm like my parents had 3. Like I have 2 sisters. I'm just like, how did you guys? But I know how they did it because they had their grandparents or their parents. Yeah. And so I would go over to my grandparents and, my aunts and uncles, and everyone would kind of share responsibility for all the kids. And it would give each person a little bit of personal time, whether they needed to work or whatever they needed to do.
And everybody loves kids, especially when they're not yours. It's so much easier.
You can give them back.
I get this once a week. Here you go. go to bed.
And it's cool because then you get this little special relationship with the kid, but you're also like, goodbye.
Yes.
I get to do fun stuff that you're not allowed to do at home, but see you later after that.
Dude, yeah, man, as I grow older, or rather just understand what it's like to be in these other perspectives, I respect the people in my life that were so nice to me when I was a kid. Like my Aunt Libby was really old, and I have a picture of her in my coffee shop. I found it, but she was like in her 70s, and she would take the Greyhound bus from Milwaukee to Madison to go to the mall with us and get McDonald's and toys.
Yeah,
what a
it's
badass.
awesome.
I'm like, Aunt Libby, you crushed it.
Yeah. And it's just something so small like that. But like to you, you're like, well, of course they're gonna come. She
shows
comes
up
on
here.
the Greyhound and we go to
Yeah.
McDonald's and we get toys. But to her, it's like she makes an effort, and it's like it's badass. Like people that do that, and a lot of times they don't get a thanks, or people don't even realize until much later, like you're saying, like much later in life, you don't realize how kind of hard or extra these people went for you. It's like, man, that's badass. I love that.
So have your parents been? I know your mom is an amazing human being. I think I actually spent Christmas with you guys once. Did I go to?
Yes. Was Sal with us too?
No. Why did we go to Christmas at your mom's house? I just remember people making it was the first time I'd ever been to that. But she's an amazing person. She's been helping you with your kids.
Yeah, she has. Yeah. She came and stayed with Mary whenever I went on the South American tour, and then in Europe as well. She came and stayed because Mary has been having a really rough time. She's had a really bad. It's like called HG, which is like we have morning sickness, but just like 24/7.
Oh God.
She her whole first trimester, she was just in bed because she couldn't get out of bed. And so my mom came and helped.
Is that 3 months?
Yeah. She was in bed about 2 months, I would say. And she still is dealing with it a little bit. Like there's still certain things that kind of rock her. But yeah, I mean, my mom just started another job. She's a traveling nurse. And so she got a job in Ocala, but lives like an hour south of Ocala. And so she just goes and like works there. But then on the day she doesn't, she'll come and hang out at our house and kind of watch Amelia and stuff.
That's awesome. Thank you, Mom.
Yeah. I mean, and then we also have this amazing woman named, we call her Miss Betty. She's incredible. She's actually...
Her name is Carol.
No, she's the mother of one of our employees, Victor, at the whiskey company.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
And so we were going to hire Victor's sister because she had just finished law school. She was going to come and help out with us with Amelia for like 4 days a week so we could go to work and do stuff. And she ended up getting hired at a law firm. And so she couldn't do it. And she's like, oh, my mom obviously raised all of us and she'd love to come help. And so she ended up coming, and she comes for 4 days a week.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's like literally the only reason that either Mary and I can get anything done outside of like the house, like taking care of the baby. So like working on stuff, getting ready for tour. Like if I didn't have Miss Betty, I wouldn't be able to do any of that. So shout out Miss Betty. She's the best.
Thanks, Miss Betty. I hope I get to meet her sometime. I
She's
love
incredible.
how that's so cool. Yeah. That you said it takes a village. It's literally like, we got our employee's mother. We got our mom.
Well, both of our families don't live by us. So like we live in Orlando, and my family lives like an hour away in Florida, and her family lives in New York. So it's like we have friends, but also friends have lives. And, it's like all of our family is like just far enough away to where it's like hard to help out every day. So,
all right. Note to self, have babies by parents.
Yes.
That makes sense.
That's why people always move home, I think, so they can have the village to help raise kids because it's so hard.
Yeah. My other friends with kids already have told me similar things, that it's like very difficult. And it's one of those things that I'll understand when it happens to me. I'm like, oh, how hard can it be? And then I'm like, oh, this is really difficult.
You're like, shit, I can't. Okay. All right. I get it.
Is it hard leaving for tour with Amelia being at home? I don't know. What's that like?
It is hard, but also, it's this thing that like kind of fuels the whole machine. Going out and doing this, it kind of allows us to provide the things for Amelia and, the family. And I think I remind myself of those things. And she is thankfully like, she doesn't have like a real big problem with separation anxiety yet. I don't think, or she hasn't developed it if she's
Amelia.
Yeah.
Oh, because they like are used to you being around, and then not is a thing.
Like when I was little, like I went to daycare while my mom went to work, and there was always kids in daycare that would just lose their shit when their parents would leave,
Guilty.
That's what I'm saying. So a lot of kids I think develop social or separation anxiety, and she hasn't really had that. So like for some reason, as long as you like say, hey, I'm leaving, and you tell her bye, you give her a kiss, she's cool. As long as she can wave bye to you and
Yeah.
she sees you leave, she doesn't cry. She doesn't, she's like, okay, I'm going to go inside and just figure out something else to do in here, and bye. I'll see you later. It's pretty cool.
Play hide and seek and then never show up, or like do what you have to do with dogs where you like feed them a treat and run out the door or something.
Yeah. I still have to hide my suitcase from Einstein because he has massive separation anxiety.
That's Neil's dog.
Yeah, my dog. He's a French bulldog. He's a psychopath, but he has massive separation anxiety. And it's like, if he sees me packing my suitcase, he'll start like looking for stuff to just fuck up. Like you just see it in his eyes. He's like, I'm going to bite that. I'm going to piss on that. Yeah, fuck him. He likes that.
I'm going to make Neil stick around.
Yeah, I don't blame him. You know, it's like, I need this human to live. I like this human. He's my human. Oh shit, he's leaving me. Yeah, he obviously loves Mary. He loves Mary. He loves Amelia. He loves Emma. Whatever. But it's like he sees the suitcase and he's like, "Oh no, I'm gonna tear something up of his." You know, it's like that.
He's truly your son.
Yeah, he's ready to fuck shit up anytime.
Is he good with Amelia?
Oh yeah, she's done this thing recently where she like wants to like sit on him, and we have to be like, no, like he's starting to get old, and he'll be like, and I'm like, I'm like, Einstein, Amelia, get off of him. And I'm Einstein, dude,
Because she's walking now, right?
Oh yeah, she's everywhere.
Because it's what? Oh, year and a half. I
walked in the kitchen the other day and she was standing up on the island, and I was like,
on the top?
Yeah, because we have this thing where you can like, I think it's called Baby Einstein. It's like this step where they can like get up on there, and
yeah,
it basically like puts them at like eye level so they can like learn to do tasks in the kitchen or wherever.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
It's cool. It's like whatever. So we have this, and she's been, ever since she could crawl, she's been on this thing. She crawled up it. I'm like, holy crap. So now she can walk. She climbs up this thing. She's on, like, I had, it was like these dark chocolate M&Ms in this little bowl. And she always would see me grab them, and I wouldn't never let her have them. I'm like, cause they're kind of a choking hazard. I would like bite it one in half and like maybe give her one.
Yeah.
I would never just let her have one. And so she knew it was there. And so she waited until she could escape for like 2 seconds. Like I didn't even let her out of my sight. It was like no time at all. She had this plan in her mind. She planned it out. Waited till I couldn't come in there right away. I was like getting laundry out of something. I couldn't grab her. I like hear, I'm like, better not be doing bad stuff. Just don't be, whatever it is. Don't do it. I go in there. I'm like, what are you? She's like standing up there and she's like, yeah. She has a handful of M&Ms. I'm like, no, you can't.
Bad.
Like, put those back, and you can't be up there. But I'm also like, you just thought of this whole little plan to sneak over here and get these M&Ms.
Man, when you start measuring her age in years, I can't imagine what it's going to be like. I mean, you're still in the month's time right now, right?
I know.
Probably. She's related to you.
She's a wild lady.
She's got that creative, the tricky mind.
I wouldn't, I like you said, I kind of have a new perspective on what it was like raising me as a child. I'm just like, Jesus Christ. I did all this stuff. I used to do the craziest stuff. Like my grandmother would give us like a quarter, and we would go buy those like Little Debbie pies from like there was like a Little Debbie store behind
Zebra
my
cakes?
grandmother's house. Yeah. And so we could go in there and we could buy the little pies or whatever. And so I didn't buy one for 4 days in a row, and I saved up and bought like an entire cake. There was like a dollar. They had like this clearance thing was like $1. It was a while ago, a long time ago.
Yeah.
And so $1 was pretty reasonable, but it was like a whole cake. And my grandma's like, how did you get, she thought I stole this cake. I was like, no, I saved up for 4 days. And she's like, no, she's like, I thought you had and I was like, cause my cousins, they would get the pies, and so they would come back, eat them, and I just wouldn't have anything. I just was there. I'm like, I'm going to save up for 4 days and get this pie or a full cake. And it was, then I wasn't allowed to eat.
That's a good lesson. You can either have a little bit now or a lot of it later. And you did a lot of it later. That's like,
and I got in trouble because I tried to eat the whole
grandma.
cake. I know. I mean, she's probably right. It would have made me really sick, but it was like, man, I was like real excited about that cake. I was like, because you only get, like when you're young, you only get cake on like birthdays and stuff. And I was like, I can just have a cake on a Tuesday. I just save up for like 4 days. I'm like, this is great.
Cake on a Tuesday. Isn't it like a Cake on the Beach song? Yeah. Cake on a Tuesday sounds like a good song name.
Yeah. And maybe I'll make one,
Yeah, that's a pretty funny story. I don't know about you, but I like thinking back to the things I did as a kid. And sometimes I'm like, I feel like a sense of like, good job, young Adam. Like, good job, kid that didn't know what the hell was going on. But you took advantage of being a child. Well done.
Yeah. I wish when I was younger, I did want to be older though. And man, do I realize how big of mistake that would have been.
Well, yeah, all the things you can't do and have not done yet are only possible once you're at least 5 feet or 6
I
feet
was
tall.
like 5. I'm like, I want to drive a fire truck.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Have you?
No, I still haven't. I want to.
Wow. It's not correlated. Yeah, you should. Now you're the right age.
My brother-in-law is a fireman in New York City. Maybe he would let me drive one.
Yeah, and then maybe he would no longer be a fireman in New York City afterwards. It's like,
Well,
yeah,
if I start any fires, we're already there with the fire truck. So
we're related. What do you mean I can't drive it?
Like his license doesn't work for me, or
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Westfall.
I wish that would be sick.
It's like the transitive property. Is that math thing? Anyway, got to go back to high school. Okay. Touring. Obviously, I'm glad that Amelia is good at saying goodbye. Once you're out on the road, what was it like touring with COVID? I mean, I asked the mighty Patreons if they have any questions. I think 4 out of the 5 questions are, what's it like touring with COVID now? You just did this festival run, right?
Yeah, we did. Well, so we were kind of the first one of the first groups back out in October of 20.
Oh yeah, last year.
Maybe?
Now that's crazy.
Is it still 2021? Is it 20?
No,
I don't know what.
It's 2022 right now.
Oh God. All right. Yeah. So we went out in October 2021, and it was crazy. Like everything was locked down. Like we did the whole tour. No one got sick until the last 3 days of the tour. Our stage manager Keenan got sick.
Damn it, Keenan.
But we were able to do the show. It was the last show we did in St. Augustine. We were able to do it without him, just because everyone had been on the tour for so long and everyone could pick up the slack that Keenan kind of was doing during the regular show.
Yeah.
People were like, oh, we can make this work for one show. But it was crazy. It was like we weren't allowed to do anything. We didn't leave the dressing room for almost the entire tour. We didn't.
You're like a bubble.
We didn't interact with any other bands, which was so weird. Like you would see them, and like even at catering, like our people would kind of be like, they'd give you like the sour look if you were like sitting with the wrong people at catering.
Oh my God.
Just because they were trying to keep it. Yeah, they were trying to keep it, your little bubble contained. And we couldn't tell other people what they could and couldn't do. Like we can't be like, hey, don't go out, don't go to bars. So our thing was, well, we just can't be around you if you're going to go do whatever you want.
Oh, like you can't limit other people outside of your bubble, but you can limit your bubble.
Yeah, we can control. And I'm sure other people have tried to control other people, but that's just like, we weren't trying to do that. So we basically just stayed in our dressing room, and we had guests come to the show, but they couldn't come backstage. They couldn't watch side stage. They couldn't. It was so weird. And a lot of the fun things about touring is getting to interact with those people and fans and family on the road and friends on the road. And obviously other bands you're touring with are your friends. And you don't get to have those like little things that make touring fun, like little barbecues and like little
coffee shops. Dinners.
Just the things you do for fun. So it was very much like, hey, this is a job, which for the first time ever, it was just so weird.
You're like clocking in and out kind of, or like never clocking out, I guess you'd say.
Yeah. Cause literally you were just around these small group of people all the time in a small confined area all the time.
You didn't go crazy there was
a point where I was like, look, I would just go out and go for a walk. I'm like, you can't, I need to just go. Like I need COVID. Just go out and go walk and just find something to just outside. Cause it was just so hard to just be locked up. It was like, that was the worst part. But since then, so we did South America, and then traveling in South America, it was kind of crazy because it was the Lollapalooza festival run. So you would fly to every show, and every show was in a different country. And so you would have to take COVID tests every day. So every day before you'd fly, you'd have to have a negative COVID test to get into the next country.
Oh God, that's stressful.
Yeah. And so people, it was a lot more lax. Like they were like, no one was telling us we couldn't do anything. Mm-hmm. No one was saying, hey, you can't go out. You can't do this. But they're like, if you get COVID, you're going to be stuck in Chile or Brazil.
I was going to say, you want to be in Chile for a week?
I would have actually. Because it's amazing. Like some of the best food I've ever had. But I would have loved to be stuck there. But also, I want to go home and get back to my life and do these things that, you have to do. So it was like, that was your incentive, is like, all right, so we got to travel and I got to get this COVID test, so we're not going to get COVID. So we can't go have fun and do stuff, whatever. And then we just did Europe, and we had to cancel half that tour.
Oh shit. I'm sorry. That's hosed.
It was hosed, dude. It was awful.
What happened was, yeah, you tell me what happened. I think I know a little bit. I think I talked to somebody, like bus issues or
bus issues. So it was we didn't have a bus. So we booked the tour. We booked this tour for like 2020. So we had offers from 2020.
Oh, wow.
And so we were fulfilling those offers. Just this is the first time that things have opened back up and we were able to go and play. And so when it started getting closer, we weren't sure if it was going to happen. And then things kind of opened back up. And then they're like, yes, this is going to happen. And so by the time that happened, all of the bus and transportation was already secured. And so we were like, we already have this offer and we already have to be there. So we have to go. So we will keep trying.
Secured, like other people rented it. Not you guys had it secured. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So it was already taken from all these other artists that were kind of going back and being back out at the same time, fulfilling all these offers.
Everybody all at once.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so,
sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. It was just the whole time leading up to when we left. The only reason we even decided to do it in the first place is because our booking agent got in contact with us and said, hey, one of my other artists is canceling. So he had 2 buses out there. I can get you guys one of his buses that I know for sure he's not going to use it because he's not going. And so no one knows he's canceling yet. So the bus company doesn't know he's canceling, but I'm going to hit up the bus company and say, hey, we're going to get out of this contract. I'm going to do that because I'm going to pass the contract on to one of my other artists. And so he's not going to be liable. They'll take over the contract. They need a bus, whatever. So we were like,
win for everybody.
Cool. This was like 2 weeks out. So we're like, our management, we do a meeting. They're like, okay, we got you a bus. And we're like, oh, okay, cool. So the whole time we're just getting ready to go. And like, we hadn't been thinking about that because that's like what tour management, that's their job to kind of figure those things out. So we're just doing whatever, getting ready for the tour. The night before we leave, I'm like talking to Alex. I'm like, I bet you we still don't even have a bus. And because I was like, I haven't heard anything about it. And, because the whole time they were like, yeah, we got a bus. We got a bus.
How this goes.
We got a bus. But then they were like, our tour manager, Marvin, was like, we haven't seen the contract yet, but the guy assures me that we have a bus. And so we're like, okay. So we get on the plane and we land. He's like, so he told us we don't have a bus. We have a meeting like the first night. He's like, there's no bus. He's assured me that Friday, because at this point it was like Tuesday. He's like, by Friday, we'll know if we're going to have a bus or not. And we're like, okay. So we're going to ride in Sprinter vans until then. So we had to get 5 Sprinter vans with 5 separate drivers. Because I guess to drive a Sprinter van, it's not the same license as what you need to drive a bus.
Because you have enough people to fill 5 Sprinter vans. Is that what happened?
Yeah. I think we had like
oh my God.
I think we had 18 people out.
Holy shit. You had an army of Sprinter vans.
Yeah, it was crazy, dude.
You had
like a legit
a gaggle.
Like,
what's
like
it called?
Like we looked like the Secret Service. They're all black Mercedes Sprinter vans. And we were just like, that's what was available. It was crazy.
Let's go to McDonald's.
So that was the good thing about it, is that we could stop at McDonald's if we wanted to. You can't do that.
I'm just picturing you guys rolling up. Like, you don't even have to go through drive-through. Just like all of them park. Everybody gets out. People are like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah. They were like in neighborhoods too. And these people are just like, what is happening? And we're just like, yeah, we'll take 17 Big Macs, please. No. And so we get there and there's like the whole time they're like, the bus company was kind of stringing us along because they had the bus that was sitting in a yard, but they didn't have any licensed drivers.
Oh, because the crew.
Yeah. So during pandemic, all of the bus drivers basically left the entertainment industry because there was there's no work.
Yeah.
So they went and worked for Amazon and like Tesco and like all these different companies that were offering huge incentives for people to leave their current industries and come and work for them. They were like, do you guarantee us a year? This is what we heard. We don't know. I don't know if this is true, but this is what I heard from one of the people that worked at the bus company. He was like, yeah, they were giving them, if you sign on for a year and guaranteed them a year, they would give you $150,000 sign-on bonus. Like that's your salary for the year.
That's like so you get that for the first year. Yeah.
They guarantee you that amount of money for the first year.
That's insane.
We're just like, oh yeah. I mean, I've been like, oh, not work in this industry or get paid 150 grand to go work. Yeah, sure. And so there was no drivers. So like we were out there, there's like bands like Kiss. They were headlining Download. They're like, one of the biggest rock bands in the world. They had like 35 Sprinter vans. It was
really? Everybody was doing this?
I'm not joking. At these
That's
festivals,
insane.
The most amount of buses that I saw at like any festival was like 8 or 10. There's usually like 50, 60 buses. Like all the artists have buses.
Oh my God.
Like, dude, it was crazy. It was the weirdest. It was the weirdest experience ever. Cause it was like, you could tell that they were just opening back up from like all these lockdowns and stuff. because people were so excited and the shows were absolutely incredible, which is what made it so hard for us to be like, all right, look, if we keep going like the way that we're going, because we were like, it would be day of, Marvin would be like, hey, I'm supposed to hear from the bus company today if we can get this bus. And he'd be like, yeah, they're stringing me along. So he'd be like, no, we don't have a bus yet. So he would scramble and like book transportation for 18 people like day before. Or
he was not sleeping. There's no way
he didn't sleep. He didn't sleep the entire time we were over there. And I felt so terrible about it.
Yeah.
Like how, like, what can you do? Like, you can't do anything. And so he's out there and he's literally the best. Like he worked till the very end. He was like heartbroken that we had to cancel these shows. And so when we were canceling the shows, like we kind of put together this statement, and like our fans were kind of upset about the statement because it was pretty short, but it's like, how in depth do you really want to go to like try to like make
it's like the more you say is like the more people can get not happy with.
Well, it's not even like that. I think that if we would have went and told the full story, people would have left by like halfway through. You know, it's like one of those things. Like most people read the headline and then they like move on. You know,
yes,
so we tried to keep it short and sweet. They were like, hey, it's logistical issues, whatever. We're gonna make it up to you if we can, as soon as we can.
Yeah.
And so people are like, what the fuck? This is the biggest bullshit. They're like, they don't have ticket sales. It's like, no. These shows are insane. Europe was like the best it's ever been. We were all the happiest we've ever been. It's like,
you haven't played shows for years. Of course you want to tour and Europe shows. Why would you not want to do that?
Yeah. It was incredible. Like the tour was still amazing. And it sucks that we had to miss out on Italy and Switzerland. And
Italy's so good.
Oh, Italy is like the best.
We're playing Greenfield in Switzerland again?
We weren't playing Greenfield. We were playing a one-off show in Geneva, which is beautiful.
Oh, sick. That's still sick.
And so we're all super bummed that we don't get to go to these places and play for these people. And it's literally out of our hands. It was like, hey, we played Grass Pop Festival and they were like, it's because the tour was routed for a bus. Yeah. So like everything's planned out like to where you can drive so far with either a driver or a double driver to get you to where you need to go to play the show. We didn't like budget anything for hotels every night for 18 people. We didn't budget like plane tickets, train tickets, sprinter vans, multiple sprinter vans. Like, and so all of that stuff added up, and they told us, they were like, look, if you keep going after Grass Pop, you're going to lose money on the tour. Like you'll come back in the red and you'll owe people money. And so we just came back from South America where we lost money on that tour as well because of kind of similar issues. It was like we had the offer from 2019 to go down and do Lollapalooza. By the time we were able to get our stuff down there, to freight our stuff there, with doing it within that offer, we were going to lose money to do it. But it was such a big opportunity for the band because we've never played a festival like that. And we love Lollapalooza and we always wanted to be involved with that. And we wanted to go down and be like, hey, look, a Day to Remember can be on these festivals. Like our band works.
It's important
in this scenario.
Short-term loss.
Yeah. Because it's like, we'll take the hit and we'll go down and we'll play. And then we get to play for these people. And then we look good to the promoter because, hey, they could have easily dropped off. And they didn't, and they're here because a lot of bands dropped off because a lot of bands aren't in a scenario where we are, where we can take that huge hit to go down there and kind of have the opportunity.
2 hits in a row, though.
Well, and so we had a way to kind of make it up in the first hit. So we took an extra festival in the United States. That's why we're playing a certain festival, and it's going to help pay for all the losses for South America.
Yeah.
And then we weren't expecting all of this stuff to happen in Europe. And so they came to us and were like, look, if you continue after Grass Pop, you're going to lose money. And so we're like, okay.
And your minds probably.
Yeah. Well, we were having fun and we liked it.
Oh,
like,
good.
I know that you've toured with us before and it's like, we can be real and negative, especially when things get really hard, but we're all so fresh and we're all like happy to be around each other.
Yeah.
We all have like this new positive outlook on like what we're doing and like how we're going to do it. And, you know, just healthy, mentally healthy,
good,
physically. And so we were all happy. And so we were kind of being positive to the crew. The crew were the ones that were kind of getting hit really hard.
They got to work a lot, dude.
Yeah. They are the best. We have the best crew, and them kind of going through that and putting up with that. It's like, they didn't have to do that. Like they could have been like, no, and they did it and they were awesome. So we couldn't have done it without them. So that's kind of what happened in that whole scenario, but it was just crazy. And it was fun. Like I said, like it was just a new perspective on touring. Like we hadn't toured like that in years, you know, and not to say it was like we toured before, because before we would tour in a van and we just wouldn't get hotel rooms at all. And we would all just sleep in the van and we'd do like 15 in a row and whatever. Now it's like, hey, we're all older. Our crew doesn't want to do that. Like everyone gets hotel rooms now. So it's a lot
Their
better.
bones hurt.
Yeah, we're all old. Come on.
Oh,
No,
man.
it was crazy. It was but being in Europe, I forget the original question that got me started on this tangent, but
Just touring during COVID, I think.
yeah, it's crazier than it's ever been, I think, because you were just now seeing the effects of what COVID has done.
Mm-hmm.
Like things are opening back up and people I think are expecting it to kind of be like normal, but we're still kind of going through all the stuff that happened because of COVID. So
yeah, a lot of people quit the industry.
yeah, there's like a ton of crew shortages. So like finding crew is really hard. There's no buses in Europe. There's no bus drivers in Europe. There's a bus shortage in America. There's a crew shortage in America as well. So it's like if you go to a show and you get to see these bands play, like be very thankful. Be extra nice to people. If you are going to go out and work with someone like shadowing them for crew stuff, be aware that like people are going through a lot and be thankful that you get the opportunity because it's fucking wild out there. But it's awesome. Like I said, it's such a good time to do it because everyone's happy to be there. Like all the fans are like, yes, this is great.
I'm glad that you got to do the half you like. I know that it bums people out, especially because I'm sure people are like on their first, second, or third ticket reschedule. But I'm happy that you got to do the first half or the first chunk of it, and still sad. But like that's the positive of it. It's like, well, at least we got these things. Like we got these done.
And then I felt bad for being positive because people were still so upset that like in Italy we literally have canceled 3 times in a row. And
dude, Italy fans are another like
and
that's
they're very 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 passionate. Like they are about everything. They want to meet you. They want a picture. They want all this stuff, and that's great. But it's like they are all equally as passionate when things go wrong, and they're upset to like the max. And you're like, oh, I wish I could fix this. Trust me.
Yeah.
I am struggling just to play guitar.
We're on the same team. I swear. We're on the same team. Yeah. I mean, also too, people just, people want to vent online, and I guess it's like a good place for people to vent, and just it all piles up though, and it can compound. So
I got into an argument with someone on Facebook.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Well, I normally don't chime in on this stuff, but someone was like on there. This is one thing that I cannot stand. And I wish that like us as a scene, as like a group, a collective could like stop doing this. Talking about things that we have no idea about, like talking like you're an expert when people have no idea. You know what I mean? Like,
they just said a lot of things that were incorrect.
And I'm 100% positive I've done this in the past. And I'm just saying in the future, I'm going to try my best not to do this anymore. And it would be awesome if other people could do that too. But it's like, they were trying to explain why a data member canceled the tour. Like they were like
just making things up.
Like they knew. Yeah. And I'm like, none of what you just said is accurate. So like I went in and like corrected everything. And I'm like, why am I doing this? And I posted it and I'm like, why did I do that? And then like, I saw one person wrote back and said, hey, thank you for explaining it like this because I didn't know. And I basically was like telling them, why be negative about this when it's something that affects all of us? Like,
yeah.
Don't be negative. Like it doesn't fix it. It doesn't make it better. It doesn't make me feel better. It doesn't make you feel better. It may make you feel better for like 1 second, but it's not going to fix the problem that you had in them originally.
Yeah. Creating another victim of the bad things.
And so I got into an argument with them, and then I went in and then one person was like, hey, you explaining it like this made me feel better about it. I was like, okay, so it was worth it.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
mic drop.
unattach me from this thread because I never want to be tagged in it ever again. And then I have never seen anything about it since then. So as long as one person was happy with what I said, I'm fine with it. But holy shit.
I understand what you're saying on a very personal and deep level. I get it. I've been the recipient of these things before, and it's never fun. And
like people tell you, hey, yeah, you probably did this because this, like, no.
Now, somebody like tagged me recently on Twitter about something of like me like doing something terrible with photo rights, and I was like, what is going? I just blocked him. I was like, this is not even a thing like that has ever been a thing that I even knew about. And I was like, all right, well, they're just trying to make people mad.
Well, first of all, everything you said is incorrect. It's like, let's start there.
I just feel bad because as soon as you respond, you like give them the microphone, and that's like the thing I never want to do. So I just don't respond anymore.
I agree with you on that, but I struggle with how to deal with it because it's like I then will like be at my house and I'll be sitting there doing something else, and then that will just pop into my head for some reason because it carries that mental real estate for whatever reason. And I just think about it. I'm like, no,
you got to stop it on the intake level then, which is also a good solution.
I'm like, you're not allowed. Can't have that. And that's not fair. And that's what I wish. Hey, if we move forward, start calling people out on that shit and be like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, let's as a society, let's like agree on that one thing. It's like, this person is not an expert at touring. Yeah. He's played 6 shows in Albuquerque, New Mexico. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Don't listen to him. And don't base your opinion on other people. Because I promise you, 99% of the time, the people are trying to do right by the situation. I'm sure there's people that are shitty, but I mean, I'm sure that most of the time they're trying to do the right thing. So,
well, speaking of Albuquerque, Neil, are you watching Better Call Saul?
No, I've never seen it.
Dude, do you like Breaking Bad? No. Yes? No?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, Better Call Saul is coming to an end in like 5 episodes right here. And I'm telling you, this show is pretty good.
Better than Breaking Bad?
So it's a lot slower for the first few seasons, but the story and the acting is like pretty amazing. And then it picks up and starts to get closer to Breaking Bad, like because the timelines start coming together, and it gets pretty like stuff that happens in Breaking Bad or in Better Call Saul changes everything in Breaking Bad, which is kind of cool.
Oh, I like that. I like that idea. I like that they kind of can think that way when writing it, because they're like, we know that that's going to happen in the future, and we've already set those guidelines. To kind of give a way to write into it. That's cool.
So the person who created Breaking Bad, I guess, mapped out the whole thing ahead of time, which isn't how shows like Lost or I forget there's a term for it. They mapped everything out.
Wow. That's
pretty cool. Respect, right?
Dude, Lost is like, they're like getting high in the writing room. The week up, they're like, we're going to have a smoke monster. And then the other guy's like, what does he do? And we're like, don't know. Don't care. Fuck him. Fuck you guys for wanting to know what he's about.
You get a smoke monster. You get a smoke monster.
Dude, I watched all of Lost and I was like, man, this show's badass. And then I like read that the head writer came out and said that. And I was just like,
J.J. Abrams.
He's like, yeah, we never planned on explaining any of that.
Feels inauthentic. It feels like you're like, you didn't care, but I care.
But it was kind of amazing because it's like it allowed people to like kind of create this narrative. And then there was always this like fan culture that like tried to explain things, which I liked because I like talking to other people about it. And they'd be like, did you know about this? And then I find out later, I'm like, you're full of shit. You had no idea. You just made that up. But it was so believable. And I really liked it. But
well done.
Yeah. No, I didn't know that. And I maybe I'll go back and watch it.
Oh, man. Yeah. I would highly suggest Breaking Bad. Okay, we're finishing up here. But I mean, do you want to talk about your new song at all?
Yeah, Miracle. It's fucking sick. It's heavy.
We did it. We dropped the song.
July 21st, I think it comes out. Is this going to come out before that?
Yeah, in like 3 days.
July 21st.
This will come out in like 5 days. The song will. Wait, okay, question. There's like this dude on Reddit who posts like songs before they're announced and release dates. Are they like part of like a radio station and they're like getting exclusive information and then leaking it? How does somebody do that?
I don't know. I know that the artwork for the song leaked like 2 weeks ago. And we were freaking out a little bit. We're like, holy shit, if someone has the artwork, that means that maybe
it has a song.
And so we were like, oh shit. It turns out that like they uploaded, it was in New Zealand. They were getting ready for the launch on the DSP. So they're just uploading the artwork to the thing. And then so someone saw it and it became live, and then they screenshotted it. And then someone put it in our Reddit. And then they started talking about it. But then me and Kevin did an interview in Germany when we were just doing a festival. And I made a joke about it being a miracle if we were going to release new music.
Oh, wow.
You got them. People were like connecting them. They're like, oh, the artwork is like praying hands. And the song title says like, quote, it says miracle. And then Neil and Kevin said miracle in an interview in Germany. They're like, oh, they're for sure going to release a song soon. Cause we hadn't even released it. And they knew. And we're like, this is insane. It's kind of awesome, but
man, they pieced it together. That's
cool. I don't know how they find out. I don't know how they get that stuff.
I'm excited. New music and heavy. That's like don't get me wrong. I love a good poppy.
No one knows what it's going to sound like yet.
We've
only released the riff,
You said heavy like 2 minutes ago. Oh, you released a riff too? I got to go check this out.
Yeah, it's at the end of the little, if you go to my Instagram, you can see like the little video, and it's got like a little teaser video.
Is it your riff or Kevin's riff?
It's a riff we wrote with Cody from Wage War.
Well, who will play it live?
We both will.
Oh, okay.
It's like a stereo guitar. We're both going to play the riff. It's sick.
Cody shreds.
Cody's incredible. Yeah, we wrote this one with Cody, and yeah, he's a badass. We worked with Cody since
I
Common
remember
Courtesy. Yeah.
since Denver, because I went there and I was like, oh, this dude's not in this band.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, that was Bad Vibrations, because
He was
came
there.
out. Yeah, he came out and he wrote with us on that, because we did Common Courtesy. He worked on a few songs. He came out and we hadn't finished. Like, we worked on Sometimes You're the Hammer. We wrote that with Cody. Like, we had like some of the parts written, and then he wrote some
Good
stuff,
song.
and then we put them all together and whatever. And that was our first experience working with him. We're like, dude, you're badass. And he's like, oh, thanks, guys.
Yeah,
he's like,
12.
I just like your band. Yeah, he was young. He's from Ocala. He came out and he worked with us and wrote with us out in Colorado when we did Bad Vibrations. And then, yeah, we still write with him all the time.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it live. Thank you for coming on, Neil. You still wearing shower shoes or what?
Fuck no. I never did. Dude, I just watched the thing yesterday about water parks and how disgusting they are.
I fucking love water parks.
Yeah, well, me too. When I was younger, I just remember going there and just like for an entire, I like thought back to when I was young, and I'm like, you know, you go in the water for like an hour and the scabs are gone. I'm like, that's just in the pool somewhere. Someone's going to get touched by my scab. And I like thought about this and I'm like, man, people are worried about shower shoes. I'm like, I went to like every water park in Florida from when I was like 5 until I would still go now.
Oh,
and
God,
I'm fine.
Noah's Ark, baby.
I got like
Wisconsin Dells.
Wisconsin Dells. I drove by that spot.
I know.
When I was going, I went on a tour of Wisconsin before.
Yeah, dude. That was cool. That was a fun time. Anytime somebody's in your home, I gotta go. You guys got good water parks in Florida? Are they good?
So they just came out with Volcano Bay. It's like Universal Studios water park.
It's good.
And then Disney has like 4 pretty good water parks.
Wow. Oh, Noah's Ark is pretty up there. I haven't gone there in my adult life, but I might have to hit it up this summer or something. What month is it? July? Oh, they're still open.
Yeah. There used to be one here in Florida called Wet and Wild, and it was
amazing. I've heard of that.
Yeah, it was like pretty famous. It's gone now. We made a joke the other day that I drove by it. I was talking to someone and they're like, wait, that's not there anymore. I was like, no, it's completely gone. I was like, there was so much bacteria and disgustingness in that.
They burned it.
Block. They just leveled it and probably lit it on fire, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a good place to end the set. Thanks, Neil. Thanks, Neil. It's good catching up, man. I miss you on here.
Stay tuned next week for our Andy Kaufman Audio Issues podcast.
Oh my God. Yeah, dude. I do. It was fun. I miss having you as a co-host, but I understand why life happens. But those really first 33 episodes were really fun. Thanks for doing this with me.
Of course. And I'm happy to see that you're still doing it. I love seeing the little snippets of on Instagram. I'll scroll through. I'm like, oh, sick. Because I'll see like it's like you talking to like everyone that was like they're all friends, all homies and stuff.
I got Hannah on here, Suge, got all the homies, Weiss, everybody's going. All right,
Weiss is the best. That episode was so awesome.
Yeah, he's good. There's
Weiss he's just the man.
Angie's episode is good too. The girl who works with Post Malone and BTS. That one's.
I haven't checked. I didn't.
She's cool.
See, for me, I'm like, if I know him, I'm like more inclined. I'm like, I'll check this out because I know. But then I'm like, the people I don't know, I'm like, oh well, I kind of already know what their job does. So
Weiss makes me nervous, man. That was a hard interview. He's nerve wracking. He's so nice, but God, he's just like
he's so good.
In.
He's matter of fact. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny too because like when we've toured with them, like we've done a bunch of like maybe I don't know over 10 tours with him. You always like catch him like I always like try to make him laugh and he'll just be like
catch him slipping
and just look at me and I'm like, okay, I'm an idiot. All right, thank you.
You're like, I know your father. I know you know how to love.
And then he'll like 5 minutes later he'll like come back and make a joke about something I made a joke about and he'll like laugh about it and I'm like, okay. So you're laughing inside, but you're this hard stone tour manager on the outside. I'm like, I get it. You're professional. It's fine. I know you think I'm not that big of an idiot. You might laugh a couple times. No, it was great. And thanks for having me on.
Hell yeah. All right. Later, bro.
I'll come back on as much as you want. As much as like we can make it happen.
No, let's give it another 50 episodes. It'll be my incentive. All right, so I know we didn't have an episode last week and I wanted to apologize, but I feel like you guys will understand this maybe more than most people because it kind of goes hand in hand with what we talk about on the podcast. So I had a person do the podcast who will remain unnamed because it's not important to the story. And this person wanted to listen to the podcast before he posted, which happens from time to time, depending on, how comfortable, uncomfortable people are with doing a podcast. So I sent it to them and they listened. And day of the podcast, they were like, hey, can we not post this? I don't feel like I'm in the right headspace. I want to take a few months to kind of meditate, get healthy again. I had some life events happen. And I was like, dude, I get it. And, it would be really easy and a mistake, in my opinion, to get mad at this person. Hey, you screwed me over. I can't post a podcast today. Hey, why are you doing this to me? But that's like my gut response. And I feel like that might be most people's gut response, to be upset. But really, I appreciate that they want that level of quality. And in addition to that, it was like, it's my fault because I don't have any podcasts stocked up. And, we recorded really last minute. I had COVID. Like I was rocked. I was out of commission for a week, 2 weeks. So I was very behind. And we recorded I want to say Sunday night. Connor edits crazy fast, ready to post Monday. And that's when they were like, hey, we can't do this. So it's my fault. I need to do a better job preparing. I need to have some podcasts stored up for when things happen like this. But I'm sure you guys know life happens. And before you know, it's like 3 weeks later. Before you know, we've done 85 episodes of a podcast. But anyway, this guest will be coming back. I am looking forward to having them on. And I am looking forward to our next few weeks of guests. I think I'm going to do my first in real life person interview. So I got to go buy another microphone. And I think that'll be cool. I've never done that before. Connor, you should come with me. We should go. I'm going to be with a band dude who likes to play Magic. So, it's my vibe. But, we've got some good guests coming up. I'm trying to push myself a little bit, get a little bit more of a variety on here, more artists. I do enjoy the artist conversations. Of course, I like the crew conversations, but we get some more artists on. And of course, if you have any input, always let me know. I'm thankful for you guys still listening. Update on the book, finishing the proposal. I'm 2 weeks behind now because COVID. If there's an opposite of writing, it's COVID. Like COVID just takes it out of you and all you can do is eat, sleep, and play some video games or watch a movie. And then writing is way over there. So back to writing. I'm going to crush it. Sunday night, I'm hoping to finish it all up. Monday, Tuesday, we'll edit it and we'll get it going. So look out for that. And with that being said, I hope you, All right. I'll catch you guys next week.